Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvelous Movie Mondays with. Let me show our names. There we go. Kelsey and Dill. I didn't have our names on. I
That's
am
okay.
Dill. That's
They're at the
Kelsey.
top.
We've been gone for a few weeks. Full disclosure, I had a tragedy, a death in the family, and I had to take care of that and was like, you know what? I'm not in a good place to do this.
Well,
To talk
good.
about, especially for a bummer. Like, if it was like in a really amazing show and I was like, oh my God, like, you know what? I need to talk about this, and I think this would
Right.
be a good way to like kind of keep my mind off of things. I think my aunt would appreciate it if I. No, that wasn't the case here. This was one of those things where like I didn't want to become sadder, and so there goes Kelsey, and she fell, and she's in the back. I don't know what she's doing, and she's laughing and also wincing in pain. It seems like this is unprecedented territory here. She's limping. Are you good, Kels? You're muted.
Oh,
Let's see if. Are you
ow.
okay? I wish the sound was on because I would have loved to hear what
Oh, God.
that sounded like.
Oh, fuck. I just broke my dresser. I had to get up and get my chapstick.
Wait, wait,
'Cause-
wait, 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 wait. We went from ow to I broke my dresser to I just needed some chapstick. That was a saga. So yeah,
okay.
I didn't want to depress myself further last week, so we
Right.
took a week off. Now we're back, and August is just so jam packed. Kelsey's birthday's in August. My other sister's birthday's in August. My everything's in August. It feels like. And Big Brother started late this year, so Big Brother just started. So I've just been watching live feeds 24/7 for that. All the good movies are still coming out. I still need to see Oppenheimer and Barbie again. Like, there's just so much going on right now that I'm like, it's so packed. It's so packed. What's up, Kels?
Yeah. I saw Barbie.
You did. What'd you think?
I loved it. It was
Yeah,
great. I want to watch it again.
yeah, it's amazing. Did you do the double feature or just Barbie?
No, I just saw Barbie.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I was at a 10 o'clock viewing, so I was like, I'm not hopping into like a midnight viewing now of
Right.
Oppenheimer.
I did a 10 o'clock Barbie as well, but I Oppenheimered first, which I think is a mistake. I think at the time
Really?
I was like, this is good. You do the downer first and then like end on Barbie. But then I was like, you know what?
Oh, but
It,
then
wait,
but
what?
then Bar no, I was gonna say like Barbie's like kind of like also a very
Well,
emotional
it's
experience.
emotional, but it's still like the fun dessert. Like if you approach it from that way, it's like Oppenheimer's like the main course, and then you get like the really fun dessert of Barbie. Like it's refreshing, it's new, it's fun, it's vibrant, it's colorful, and you go home happy. The problem is though, I would have probably in retrospect preferred, and I'm gonna try this soon, going to Barbie first and kicking it off with a blast and a really
Mm.
awesome, fresh, refreshing cocktail, then diving
Mm.
into this rich food meal that you can like go home and then like kind of savor. Because I think that's the thing is like both these movies deserve to be like the last thing you see of the night, which is why I honestly think the double feature in and of itself probably isn't the way to go. But if you're gonna double feature it, I think Oppenheimer gives you a little more to like think about, whereas Barbie, it's like kind of clear in its messaging and like really kind of straightforward, but in a good way. But like I feel like I was thinking Barbie would be a fun dessert to Oppenheimer, but I think Barbie's a good pre-cocktail to Oppenheimer now. Like that's where I'm at.
Mm. I
But both are
see.
great. Both are great. Oppenheimer's my favorite movie of the year so far. Barbie's in my top 10. Like I love these movies. So I'm very happy. And Barbie just grossed past $1 billion today. So the day we're recording
I was
this.
gonna say like this
Yeah,
movie's gonna
it's
make a
phenomenal.
lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
My
Oppenheimer's gonna
okay.
make a lot too. They're both making a lot, and I think that's a big thing too, because it's like neither of them are part of franchises yet, and they probably won't be. I mean, you're not gonna make another Oppenheimer, and Barbie,
Right.
Greta Gerwig doesn't want to make sequels. That's her whole thing, and she's like, no, this is it. But
Right.
like, I really think in general, this is a big good sign for movies because it means people are excited to go to movies and they don't have to just go for MCU and Disney, because that's kind of all it was the past few years. And we love the MCU here, obviously, but it's like it's good for the theater market to see these actors and directors getting to do more like individual work and still get recognized in that film industry is not dead. And that segue, we should pay our actors and writers so they can continue making shit because AI can't do that. AI can't make
Right.
Barbie. AI can't make Oppenheimer. There's no way AI could have made those movies. Anyway, Kels, you had something
I
to say,
agree.
and then I went on a tangent. So
Oh, I was just gonna say, I didn't realize that there was gonna be some Marvel crossover in Barbie. I was
Yeah.
very surprised to see Gravik as one of the Kens
Kensley,
in
and his name is
Barbie.
Kingsley. I almost said Kensley. Kingsley Benadier. Yep. Um, yeah, there were a lot of them too. There, Simu Liu
Oh,
was
right.
there.
That
Um,
I knew, but I was
yeah,
surprised to see Gravik.
yeah, and he
And
was very good at it.
very good. He's very good at what he does. It's a shame he's in, I think, in my opinion, one of the worst things Marvel has done
We'll get there,
in a
Kels.
minute.
Kels, remember how I said Barbie was the sweet cocktail to the downer of Oppenheimer? And that's not to say Oppenheimer's a bad film, but it is like a very heavy, like, oh
Right.
fuck, we fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that. It's like we'll get there when we get there, Kels, with Secret Invasion. Let's focus on the positive. Um, any other Barbie actors? I can't remember because I have a list of Oppenheimer
Oh
actors too.
gosh,
That
there was a
are MCU.
ton. If you've ever watched the show Sex Education on
Yes, there
Netflix,
were
there
like
was there
three,
was
right?
there were three. Greta Gerwig must have watched that show and been like, I want them all. Like
Mhm.
she just wanted to collect them. Um they were in it. An
I mean, you
actor
got
that I've seen in the show, you
yes.
and other
I mean,
things.
you get
What's
Dua
her name?
Lipa and
Oh,
John
Dua Lipa
Cena.
was in it. That was a shocker seeing John Cena randomly
Mhm.
pop up.
Yeah, I think for
Oh,
MCU though, it's
Chris Evans' brother, Scott Evans.
oh, is that him? I didn't know
Yeah,
Scott Evans was Chris Evans' brother.
he was like the sheriffy
Right.
Ken.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, a stacked cast in
Yeah.
Barbie for
Of
sure.
course. For Oppenheimer, we have a few names as well. The main one being, of course, Robert Downey Jr., who everyone
Mm,
is saying now is probably going to win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and I wholeheartedly agree.
wow.
He's probably like the next because it's I mean it's obviously all about Oppenheimer, but like a lot of it dives into afterwards and like the whole like communism conspiracy stuff and his Robert Downey Jr.'s character is almost kind of like the antagonist to Oppenheimer, and he plays
Mm,
it so well because it's like you get the snarkiness of Tony Stark without the humor though. It's almost just kind of that bitterness, kind of in that scene in Endgame where he's like where they finally pick him and Nebula up after Captain Marvel saves them, and then he's on the IV. You know that scene?
yes, yes.
That's the kind of Robert Downey Jr. I think we get in this, and it's kind of
Mm,
like the bitter, very harsh Robert Downey Jr.,
yeah.
which I love. Obviously, Florence Pugh has been getting a lot of acclaim for this.
Mm,
She's in it. Kenneth Branagh, who directed Thor, it has a role in this as Niels Bohr. I'm
mm,
trying to think if there's anyone else. David Dastmalchian, who we've seen everywhere from as Kurt and Ant-Man. He's also in the Suicide Squad. He's also in
nice.
Dune. Yeah, he's in a bunch of shit. He was in this one. Dane DeHaan, who played the Green Goblin in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies, is in it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just such a long list. Jack Quaid, he's not an MCU person, but he's on the
Oh, but
boys, I
he's
think.
on The Boys, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just so many. Alex Wolff is in this thing. Josh Peck, Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid is in this. There's just so many people. But I don't think there's any more MCU names. Bernard from Santa Claus is in this. Yeah, so a very, very stacked crop of actors. But yeah, go support Oppenheimer, go support Barbie. So that's our positive talk of the day. Negative
Yes.
talk, again, SAG strike, writer strike. I'm going to say it for any reviews we do on Struck Studios. Disney is one of them. So I'm going to just put this disclaimer out there. We stand with the SAG-AFTRA Guild. We stand with Writers Guild. We are not promoters of film. We are reviewers of film. We're here to talk about film and promote film criticism and lift up the voices of the creatives rather than lift up the product and the producers of the product and the brand. That is not what we're doing. So we're not being paid by these studios to talk about Secret Invasion. We are doing it at our own volition and to start the conversation about film
Yeah.
criticism, not promote. And if you hear our conversation, it's not going to be positive anyway. So we wouldn't be
Right.
promoting it anyway. We're actually promoting you probably not to watch it.
Yeah, we're doing this voluntarily. There's no one with a gun behind this camera telling us we need to review this. We're doing this because this is our show and this is our podcast. And we have to talk about all things Marvel.
Yes.
And this is unfortunately one of them.
I was gonna say, I feel like every day I'm like, we're gonna have news because there's always a Fantastic Four update, but then there's always like never mind. And like, there's so many Fantastic Four updates going around now, but I'm like, there's not gonna be any updates while the strike's going on. I don't know why people are like, oh, this is confirmed. The only
like no one's working.
Right.
What do you?
I have heard
Right.
one name that's like kind of set in stone. That's Sue Storm. I won't say it now because it's not set in stone until Marvel says it. But that seems like
Right.
the only role where they've like locked it down. But I've heard like 4 names for Ben Grimm. I've heard like 2 or 3 for the Human Torch. I've heard 1 or 2 for Reed Richards. There was a big name that then got rescinded. It's a
Mm.
mess. So I'm not even gonna say any of the names because like they're probably all gonna be wrong. But Sue Storm feels set in stone. Y'all can look it up. And that's I think it for Marvel news for me. Anything for you?
Um, Guardians 3 hit
Oh
Disney
yeah.
Plus.
Oh yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's really the only big thing that's happened
Mhm.
lately. I've kind of Marvel adjacent news still.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
started watching the Disney Plus series, which I didn't realize was a series when I started watching it. The series directed by Daniel Dustin
Destin
Daniel.
Cretton. Destin Daniel
Yeah.
Cretton.
What's the order of
American.
his names?
Is it the American Born Chinese show or no?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Okay.
That
Yeah.
has, Ke Hui Kwan in it and
Mhm.
Michelle Yeoh and,
Oh, I do
all
have more
these.
Marvel news. Sorry. Keep
And
going.
yeah. I just started watching it just because, I was interested and it's very good. And, it has 2 of our favorites from, coming off their high from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
3,
So
right?
it's
Isn't Stephanie Shu also in it?
I have no idea. If she is, I haven't met her yet. I've only watched
Okay.
the
Okay.
first 2 episodes.
Okay, so maybe she's in
Um,
the later one because I feel like in the
so
marketing
maybe
they
later on.
said they put all 3 of their names in it. That's why it was so big because it's also like the same color scheme on the poster. So everyone was like, "Is this just Everything Everywhere All at Once again?" But it's not, from what I understand.
No, but it is very good,
Cool.
and those are obviously 2 Marvel actors that we know and love. So that's my news. What was your
There you go.
news?
Well, Ke Huy Quan, we got a Loki season 2 trailer, and Ke Huy Quan was a big focus of
Oh
it.
yes,
Yes. Did you
yes.
watch this one?
Wait, I didn't watch the trailer. I only saw the Instagram post. I
Okay.
knew there was something in the back of
It's
my
okay.
brain that I wanted to
No,
talk
it's
about.
okay. So we'll talk about it next time. But yeah,
October 6th, it comes out.
yeah, it's late. It's pretty late. I mean, I guess it's not that late. It's only like 2 months away, but it feels late. I feel like whenever we're in summer, October and September still feel so far away. But then we're in September and it's like, okay, we're at the home stretch. Um, we'll watch a trailer for next week. We're actually recording next week's podcast tomorrow, so we'll just talk about it tomorrow, Kels, or next week for y'all. But yeah, the Loki trailer, we'll talk about it, especially the Jonathan Majors of it all because he's in it. And
Yes,
that'll be
October
that.
6th.
All right, cool. So should we segue, Kels? Do we have to segue?
Yeah, I'm afraid we do. I'm
You
gonna
see
watch
these?
this trailer.
You see these band-aids?
Band-aids?
We
Yeah.
gotta rip them off. We gotta rip them off.
And you
Um,
know what I just noticed still? We were
um,
talking about my birthday, which is coming up, guys.
oh
And you're
yeah,
wearing a SpongeBob shirt.
I am. Yes, Kelsey's this party is SpongeBob themed. I will clarify, it's SpongeBob the show theme, not SpongeBob the Broadway show theme, because SpongeBob the Broadway show has been
Uh,
getting a
uh,
little controversy. You know what I'm saying? And
okay,
that's actually what the shirt is. That's why I was trying to hide it because I was like, ooh. But we
yeah.
might have some Ariana Grande fans out there, you know.
Listen, I kind of watched like a deep dive into all this drama, and it all seems very alleged. Like it doesn't really seem like anything's actually going on
I
between them. I
think
think they
I,
were just photographed together, and people were like, "Oh, she's at it again, breaking up a relationship, break up with your girlfriend because I'm
yeah,
bored."
that's not what this podcast is about, so I'm not gonna get too into it. But I think it's like every day we get another layer, and then it kind of all comes together, but it still hasn't fully come together. Where we're like
Right.
we've got a bloomin' onion after someone's picked it apart, but I need the layers back together. Like
Right.
I love the onion. It's like onion petals. Like some restaurants serve the fried onion petals, and they're freaking divine. But I need the
Yeah.
bloomin' onion. I want it all in one piece so I can actually look at every layer together. Yeah, I don't know right now. It's a crazy time, especially for the Broadway community. Like that's just such a funny thing. I mean, it's not funny, it's people's lives, but it's just such an interesting thing. I'll say that. I'm like, I
It's
saw the
people's
headlines. I'm
lives.
like, every day another headline would come out. Then like his wife spoke. It's a whole nother conversation for off air.
But
I'm
like
sure at
people
your
are
party, at your birthday party, we'll get very drunk and talk about all of it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. There's lots to talk about. Lots of drama happening with female singers in the industry right now. It's kind of crazy.
Yes.
Um
Oh my gosh. Yes.
so
About
let's
damn
talk
time
about
we talk
some
about Secret Invasion. You like
yes,
my segue
absolutely.
there? Did you get
Yeah,
what
I
I was
did. I
doing
actually
there?
liked it a
You
lot.
picked up what I
Yes,
was
I
putting
got
down?
what you were doing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
a Lizzo reference because
Yes,
of all the
Lizzo, let's
Lizzo
go.
drama.
Sorry. Sorry. I meant to say
Okay.
let's go, not Lizzo.
Okay, so Secret Invasion episode 6, our series finale, titled Home. This is my summary real quick for this episode. What was the point of this show?
Okay, cool. I like that. I think it would have worked. Your summary would have worked a little bit better if you took like
Yeah.
3 weeks old garbage and put a fan behind it and wafted the smell toward the camera. I think that would have made the summary really come to life. But yours was good. Yours was good.
Because still, let me go off on this tangent right here, right now, because
All
I
right,
was
I'm gonna sit
talking.
back and listen to the.
Let me get on my soapbox like you did the last time. Okay, that's me. I got on it. I took a step on it right now.
Okay, so that was you walking over to the soapbox. I was like, how tall is this soapbox? You have stairs?
Well, I'm a very
climbing it up?
short person, so my soapbox has to be very tall for
Okay,
people
it's like a
to
mountain.
hear me.
My soap mountain, my dial mountain.
I got into a random conversation with some random people I don't remember, probably some people from work about Secret Invasion. And it kind of just dawned on me that I was like, there was really no point to this show because, spoiler alert, we end the show in the same place we started the show. People
Absolutely.
being untrustworthy of Skrulls. The Skrulls still don't have a home. And we'll talk about real details when we do the breakdown of the episode, but I'm like, this show went nowhere. Nothing happened. No one had an arc. It only gave us the most random, most pointless deaths I've ever seen in the MCU, the most random cameos I've ever seen in the MCU. Like this show like makes me so angry because let's go back to the beginning of the Disney Plus days, right? We were watching WandaVision. Obviously, that show is probably everyone's favorite of all time. We don't even have to talk about all the good things that happened in that show. Then we got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and say what you want about that show, at least those characters had an arc. That show had a beginning, middle, and an end. And the beginning was Sam wasn't sure if he was going to be Captain America, and the middle was him handling with that. And then at the end of the show, he's Captain freaking America. Good. Like Loki came along next, and it answered one of the questions that we had at walking out of Avengers Endgame in 2019. Where did that Loki go that took the Tesseract? Like where did he end up? We got that answer. And then we set up the next villain in the MCU, Kang the Conqueror. That's what that show did for us. And like all of the shows have had arcs and interesting storylines, and this show was nothing. It was just nothing. It didn't need to exist because it ended the same way we started. Gonna get off my soapbox now.
Okay. Is that your rant? Because I agree.
Yeah,
And
that's my rant.
I really don't have anything to add. It's just, yeah, it's from the beginning. Episode 1, you were a little higher on it, but like my whole criticism for anyone who didn't listen was,
Yeah.
this feels very anti-immigrant, right? Because if you replace the word scroll with immigrant, here's your story. The US government is nervous about these immigrants living among them and must try to seek them out and kill them. They hire Nick Fury, right? Like who even calls Nick Fury again? It's been so long, I forget. Is the government having Nick Fury come and take care of the scrolls, or is Nick Fury coming on his own?
No, I think Talos called him and was like,
Okay.
"You gotta come down here.
Yeah, so
Things are
like
getting hinky."
one of these immigrants calls another guy to come help them to try to change the immigrants' minds, to tell the immigrants, hey, you shouldn't try to be, destroy the earth because they don't like you or they don't want you. It's just so anti-immigrant because it's like, and now we the audience are spending every episode being like, those dirty scrolls, they're posing as all these people, and it's like that just feels like not the type of story I want to be seeing, or anyone really should want to be seeing these days. And if you're gonna at least tell it, have an interesting way to tell it. But that's like a criticism from 6 episodes ago. 6 episodes later, and where are we ending it with? Well, the government still hates immigrants, aka scrolls, and like there's still no kind of branch between them. It's just the one terrorist died. Like that's it. It's like the world's not going to end because that's done. But the government still wants to get rid of the scrolls, and that also feels like a shit like FU middle finger to Captain Marvel too, because that whole show was all about, or that whole movie was all about, hey, let's not judge these people by the color of their skin and their appearance. It's a great lesson if you look at it. Like,
Right.
and that's not even the main storyline. The main story is the feminist stuff, but then the extra layer is these scrolls are actual, like, not people obviously, but like they actually have souls. They are, people to be things to be respected, or a species to be respected, and we shouldn't judge it by its cover. We should learn how to coexist, and we will try to get you your planet. I just don't know. It's awful. It's awful, Kels.
It certainly wasn't good. So let's just like dive in really quick to this breakdown. This is the last time we ever really have to talk about this, which is the good news. So we start this episode off with Priscilla leaving. She's got to make her getaway somewhere because, Skrulls are just going to keep coming after her. As she's leaving, she gets a call from Nick. And basically they call each other to just kind of like say goodbye because, Nick's going to go do what he's got to do. She's got to do what she's got to do. It seems like they're not going to get back together. So then we're at the compound and an empty car rolls up to the front gates. The guards start shooting at it. We realize that there's no one in this car and that they're just distracted. And then Nick sneaks around from a tree, takes out both of the guards and infiltrates the compound. And then we cut to Rhodey, who's pushing the president to, make the call against Russia. Like he wants them to take action against Russia and the Skrulls at the compound. He really wants, he's trying to push Gravik's plan along here. Meanwhile, there's a woman who's, I don't know, maybe, I think Rhodey's the Secretary of Defense, so she might be some kind of general. I don't know what the government official names are. But he's being just so rude to her. And I get it. Like, it's not him. It's a Skrull. And like, this has been his thing the whole show, is that he's been really quippy and short with people, like whatever. But I just did not appreciate him attacking this celebrated, very a woman who has a high position in government and clearly knows what she's doing and talking about. And I just there was just such a disdain in my mouth for the way that this Skrull pretending to be Rhodey was talking to her. And I was like, I don't, I'm like, this just isn't even fun to watch. This is just making me really hate you, which I guess might be the point. And so now we're back at the compound and Nick is obviously getting really sick from the radiation. He has to take these pills to stop himself getting sick. And back with Rhodey in the hospital with the president, Sonia calls Rhodey and he's like, you need to move the president. Nick Fury is coming to he really wants to stop this. He's lost his mind. You and your men aren't going to be enough to stop him. You got to move the president. Which for a split second I was like, oh my God, is Sonia on his side? Is this going to be, whatever? Has she been a double agent this whole show? Who knows? Maybe she's a Skrull. Who knows? So then we finally get the big 1v1 meeting between Fury and Gravik, where Gravik's basically just saying everything that's been said this whole show is that, Nick, you promised us a home. You used us to be your Minutemen, and you still haven't found us a home, and you disappeared, and now I have to exterminate humanity because this is our Earth now. At some point during his conversation, Gravik asks Fury, he's like, oh, what's your plan B? Are the Avengers coming to save you? What about that invisible cloak and shield? Do you know what he's talking about when he said that? No. Am I missing something? Am I dumb?
No.
Okay. Well, then let's just move on. I thought it might have been an Easter egg referencing something. Maybe something
if it
future.
Is, I'll be honest, I didn't look into Easter eggs for this. I was kind of like, oh, we're done? Great. I never have to really think about this again.
Right.
Until I talk about it with Kelsey for 2 weeks. And then I'll be done. But yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't care enough to look at
And then we find out that Gravik, the skin that Gravik's been wearing was the first man that he killed, and he did it for Fury's orders. I don't know who this person was, but it was someone that obviously Fury felt was a threat, so Gravik killed him. And basically so Fury feels so bad that he's failed the Skrulls, that he's like, listen, I'm going to give you what you want. And he pulls out the vial of the harvest of all the Avengers' DNA. And he's like, I'm going to give you what you want. But in exchange, I want you to take it, take your powers, and go to some other planet, wipe out some other species, and leave Earth alone. Obviously, that is not in the cards for Gravik. So then Sonya turns her gun on Rhodey and is like, haha, I gotcha. She starts, she was taking out the men one by one in the hospital. So then she finally like reveals that she's not Rhodey's ally and that she very much knows that he's a Skrull. And, she's trying to explain to the president, like, hey, this isn't the person you should be trusting. And then Gravik puts the harvest in the machine with Nick in it because now he's very sick. He's coughing over. He can barely stand anymore. The radiation's getting to him. So now he's caught in the crossfires of Gravik taking this harvest and now injecting every Avengers DNA into him. And now Fury also might have. Well, we'll see. We'll see in a second. So basically, Gravik is huge and ripped after this experiment happens. And he's starting to knock Fury around. So at first you're like, oh, did Fury not get any of the DNA? Is he still just going to be same old Nick Fury? And then boom, he blocks a punch that Gravik throws at him. And then he like drop kicks.
Yeah.
Fury kicks Gravik with like he punches him actually. It looks like he has like a big green Hulk arm that he kind of conjured from the DNA. And then we find out that they pulled the old switcheroo on us, and it is not Nick Fury who's been fighting with Gravik. It is Gaia, who is disguised as Nick Fury. And the real Nick Fury is at the hospital with the president trying to stop Rhodey and the strike from happening against Russia.
All right. Before we continue.
Go ahead.
This is a question that came up when I was watching this scene in particular. And then I also went, wait a sec, and went back to this first episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Gravik kills Maria Hill, who's he disguised as?
Nick Fury.
Okay, when Gaia's fighting Gravik, who does she disguise herself as?
Nick Fury.
How do Skrulls become Skrulls again? Or how do they imitate people?
I think they just kind of do it. I don't know.
Don't they have to like lock up their bodies in these little pods or whatever? Like and take them?
Well, no.
Why are they able to be Nick Fury?
No. They can change into whoever they want just by looking at them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's that's like the whole thing of in Captain Marvel is that they can change into anyone just by looking at them. Like pretend to have their voice, and they even have the same DNA.
What's the whole thing with the pods and shit?
But first of all, the pods is to lock them up so the real version isn't out walking around somewhere. And also, they only get recent memories when they take over someone's body. So the pod helps them take the rest of the person's mind.
That's
so
why
that they know everything.
I'm like, wait, so is Nick Fury now like in a pod somewhere? And I was like, wait, no, how could this be true? Okay, so they can still take the shape and form of someone.
Yes.
It's just they can't harvest their memories, and then I get it.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I forgot about in Captain Marvel, and then I thought about in this show. I was like, wait, twice now we've seen a Skrull be Nick Fury. How is that possible if he's walking out and about? I see now. Right. Okay, never mind. I'm dumb. Again, this show has made me feel dumb. It's okay. That's my one dumb moment of the day, and I have many, but
it's not your fault, Dill. Nothing's your fault here when we're talking about Secret Invasion. Okay. So now I just want to break down this fight because basically what happens in the hospital is basically like Rhodey ends up like, knocking Sonya from behind him, taking her gun, going to shoot Nick. Nick grabs the gun that the president's holding, kills Rhodey. He turns back into a Skrull. The president's like, holy shit, get me a phone. I'm canceling this strike right now.
Yeah.
But while that's all happening, Guy and Gravik now have this like crazy fight where they're changing, they're morphing body limbs and body parts into different Avengers that we've seen before. So let's break it down one by one, shall we? So first, I'd like to say that he kind of looks, the first arms that he kind of conjures up kind of remind me of Abomination, especially because he's got like these gill things sticking out
Yeah,
from
it's like
his neck.
scaly. Yeah, yeah.
But Abomination wasn't in Avengers Endgame.
No, I know. That's another problem.
Oh, you go, no, I know. I thought
No,
you were
like
going to have like an
that
explanation to
clock
follow that
too.
up with.
No, it's a random
Okay.
hodgepodge because they say Avengers, yet most of these are like villains or Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, like none of them are.
Right.
A lot of them aren't even actual Avengers.
Well, because like if you get Tony Stark's DNA, that's not going to help you. Like his whole thing
That's
was
just
like
gonna
the
make you
iron
smart, I guess.
was the suit. I don't know.
Yeah, like Korg is not an Avenger, is he?
Oh,
Like, you know
was
what I
that?
mean?
Oh, yeah, but he.
Because he
Well,
also turns
I
into. Well, we'll
guess
get there. Go through all the names. Sorry,
I
I
think
didn't mean
the
to spoil.
Avengers are anyone who fought beside the like main group in Avengers Endgame. Like anyone who
But
was at
Korg
that
didn't.
battle. He didn't?
Did he? I don't know. I don't think so.
Uh,
See?
there were so many. Okay.
No, because Valkyrie didn't fight in Avengers Infinity War, so neither did Korg. He was with her.
No. Endgame. Valkyrie was in Endgame.
Oh, true. But he wasn't. He was playing video games, right? That's the last time we saw him in Endgame.
Right.
You know, we didn't see him at the fight, unless he's in the fight. But that's another thing. Yeah, like that. That's
I'm
what
gonna
I'm
have to
saying.
rewatch Endgame because some of these I don't even know who they're emulating. Okay, so he has some sort of maybe Groot arms, Obsidian arms, some sort of big hulking thing, but it's not the Hulk because they're not green. And Gaia gets a Drax arm. She gets a little Drax arm.
Yeah. Well,
that
little
one I
Drax arm.
recognize.
The proportions, though, like it just looks so bad. You know, it looks so cheap and fake and silly. It looks like Deadpool when he like gets his legs cut off and he's growing them back and they're like little baby legs.
Yeah.
It just looks so weird. I'm
I don't
like
know
the
why
whole
they
time I'm
make
looking
the
at it, I'm
arms
like,
so short.
these visuals are so gross. I'm like, I can't even focus on the fight. I can't even be excited about it.
So then he like throws a car at her, and so she shrinks down to Ant-Man.
Right.
Which
he
doesn't.
again.
He doesn't.
It's
that's
not
a
his
suit.
DNA. It's the suit. I know, Kels. It's so dumb. Anyway, continue.
I'm just having these, and then it kind of feels like she like phases, like her molecules like phase in and out of existence, like kind of like Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. But Ghost wasn't an Endgame.
No.
But I don't know. Maybe that was my eyes playing tricks on me. Maybe
Nope.
that's not on them.
Nope.
So then she has like her extremis. No, maybe she has her Drax arm in one arm, but then she makes like an ice sword with the other arm. Who is that?
I don't really know.
Who
I
makes
thought
ice?
maybe the Frost Giants.
Oh, maybe the Frost Giants. Okay, because they collected that in the beginning. Because I was like, that was my first thought too. I was like, okay, so Frost Giants, but the Frost Giants weren't in Endgame, but they had that specimen in the beginning.
Or maybe it's like a new person we haven't seen, and it's just inconsistent.
Yeah, so it's probably the Frost Giants. Okay, so then she makes an ice sword. She stabs him right in the heart. But then Gravik gets an ebony maw hand and, lifts up some dirt or whatever and, like, knocks her out of the way. And then he gets a Hulk leg and kicks her. And now she goes full Carol Danvers, and they take their fight to the sky. So now they're in the sky. It's very Harry and Voldemort in Deathly Hallows Part 2, flying around Hogwarts while they're both like just ripping at each other's faces.
Yeah, just without the stakes.
Exactly. And she's getting strangled by Gravik. So then she grows antennas, and becomes Mantis and puts him to sleep. Which, like, how does she know how to do that? Anyway. So then Gravik just, like, falls to his death. They fight for a little bit longer. She gets him pretty much, like, locked down. And he finally, like, his last line to her is, "You're just like your father." and then she delivers the final blow. She puts a hole like right through his abdomen, and Gravik dies. And then in the process of all this, like I said before, Nick kills the Skrull pretending to be Rhodey.
Yeah.
Gaia release. Go ahead.
No, keep going. I just had a question. Like, so now Gaia has all these powers, right?
Yeah.
So, like, why is there ever going to be another Avengers movie? Because she could just be all of them. You know what I mean? Like, they put themselves in this corner. They kind of put themselves in this corner already with Carol, where they're like, shoot, she's way too powerful. So we'll make her come in at the end of Endgame. We'll send her away so that way she could, like, show up at the right moment. But now it's like, now there's really no excuses. Because it's like,
right.
Let's say, what's coming up soon? The Marvels, right? Like, what if there's a problem? Oh, we'll just call Gaia. She has all of them. She has our powers, but she also has Hulk hands. You know, it just feels like they back themselves into a corner now, where it's like, unless they kill off Gaia soon somewhere else or send her away, but how do you kill her? You know, like what do they do with her now?
Well,
that feels like the Swiss Army knife now. Like, you don't need a knife, a screwdriver, a corkscrew. You just need the Swiss Army knife. That's all you need. That's why I don't know why they made this choice and had her survive it, because it's like now there's really nowhere else for her to go, but there's also really no other reason why the MCU wouldn't just utilize her. And I know they wouldn't, because for character's sake and product's sake, but like theoretically it makes sense now that like she's kind of the all-powerful. And I guarantee we won't see her at least in the next 10 projects, because the show is not very popular. I just don't see her becoming like a mainstay character in the MCU either, you know? It's just so weird.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that the catch-22 about like giving her all these powers is now the fact that there's like, you know, the president gives that fucking State of the Union address, whatever, where he basically is just like, fuck the Skrulls, everyone. Like, you know, we're under attack by these shape-shifting aliens, which sounds like a real headline that a real politician might have tried to say in like real life.
And it would have been a great commentary if they didn't spend the whole show trying to make us feel suspicious of them and like actually villainize the Skrulls. You know, like I'm fine with them taking a whole like approach of the Skrulls being these immigrants. It's kind of what Captain Marvel did, and then showing us why the government's wrong. But they don't really do that here. They do it in the last second, but the whole time we've been led to believe that these Skrulls are untrustworthy. So it's like, what do they want us to take away?
So now, but what I'm saying is that like, she's going to have to go into like some serious hiding now, because if people even become suspicious, as we've seen in the last few scenes of the show, if people even become suspicious of her, like she could get shot in the head, like point blank. So like, you know, we'll talk about the ending in a second.
She's too powerful. Can they just shoot her in the head point blank? Probably not.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think we'll see. So then Gaia releases all the people that were stuck in their pods. You know, we see all the world leaders get freed. We see Martin Freeman get freed. We see Rhodey get freed. And Martin Freeman, thank God for him, because he asked the question we're all wondering. He looks at Rhodey. He says, Colonel Rhodes, how long have you been in here? And then he needs some serious help. Maybe it's just because he's been there the longest, but I was kind of suspicious that he needs a lot of help getting out of his pod, and he needs some help walking out of the facility. And it's kind of really reminiscent of him like relearning how to walk at the end of Civil War. So I'm like, has he been in this pod since Civil War, and now every Rhodey we've seen was a Skrull?
That's what I think the show wants us to believe. And I think it's been confirmed. But I don't know. But that's also that's awful.
It could be that, or it could just be that, like, oh, he was there the longest, so like, you know, he has to get his sea legs back, kind of thing.
But my whole thing is also like that. Think about that. That's
it's
all
just
of
weird.
War, all of Endgame, plus the time jump 5 years. He didn't get snapped away. Plus the emotional goodbye to Tony, and then all of a sudden in this show, he starts to get a little sass and attitude. If this is a choice that he's been a Skrull since Civil War, his character has not lined up in the past few shows, because I don't think Don Cheadle knew that far in advance that he was playing a Skrull. So it's just an inconsistency. So why would they ever make the choice to even make us believe that? They should have just been like, they should have showed us a flashback at least to the scene where it happened. Maybe it happened after the museum visit in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you know, like maybe that's where it happened. Just show a scene where he's talking to Sam, walks away, gets like kidnapped, bag over his head, into the car, taken away. You know, like that could have been, because then at least it clears up questions. Because now we've got all these lingering questions of how long has Rhodey been a Skrull? Has he been a Skrull the whole time? Maybe he never even hurt his legs. Maybe the Skrull Rhodey hurt his legs. I don't fucking know. You know, it's just so weird to me.
Because I'm like, could you just imagine being an actor? Like, imagine being Don Cheadle, and they're like, okay, so you know this role you've been playing for the past, like, 10 years? It was the real you, like, only, like, 20% of the time, and the other 80% that we saw this character, it was actually an alien pretending to be you. And that's all going to come to head in this show.
Yeah, and then magically now you're going to start to become a dick. Even though you were really endearing and funny in Infinity War and Endgame, that was still a Skrull. Right. So, like, we got to be dickish now.
Yeah.
But didn't he do that whole fun time travel Back to the Future speech in Endgame? Yeah, no, he was funny then, but the Skrull had a good sense of humor. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, weird. And if you don't want to make a point that, like, he might have been a Skrull for, like, a lot of movies and projects now, then don't make Martin Freeman look at him and go, how long have you been here? Because that's just making me wonder, holy shit, he might have been a Skrull this whole time. You know what I mean?
It would have really killed them to add
Iron Man 2 Skrull.
A 5-minute scene. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe Terrence Howard, they tried his Rhodey, accidentally killed him and went,
what if it was Terrence Howard?
Rhodey. Yo. What if they went to the pod and Terrence Howard was in the pod? Oh, that'd be nuts.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Howard,
what if it's
Edward
Terrence
Norton.
Howard?
Oh my god. The old Thanos.
Oh my god. Okay, so and then the president gives the State of the Union address. It's like, we need to watch out for these Skrulls, and obviously this whole thing is backfiring because, as we see in the last moments of this show, people are now on their vigilante shit. Taylor Swift song Drop, going around just like killing off random, like, you know, heads of state or people in media. They like killed the guy from the news station, and he ended up being a Skrull, but then they take out the Prime Minister of England, who is a nice lady, and she turned out to be human. So now they just killed her for no reason. And then they like
killing everyone.
Yeah. So now everyone's just turning against everyone, and it's like chaos. And then we have the wackest, most this doesn't make sense ending ever, where, you know, Priscilla and Nick had their goodbye on the over the phone earlier in the episode, and now all of a sudden, now that, you know, Nick Fury's going back up to save her, he's like, well, my work here is done. Everyone still hates the Skrulls. My best friend is dead, and the Earth is in shambles. Going back up to space for me. And then right before he can get on the ship, though, who is it? I was expecting it to be, first, I'm still in denial about Maria Hill. I was hoping that it was going to be her. 2, when we first got the reveal that it wasn't going to be, it was obviously not Nick Fury who's with Gravik. I was hoping that it was Talos. I know, I'm Delulu in this part of my brain right here, delusional. But who is it? Priscilla. So she strolls on up and is like, hey, so couldn't leave without saying goodbye, or whatever she's trying to do, because she's not trying to make him stay. She's not saying, I'm going to go with you, because she's like, all my work is down here. What I couldn't be, you wouldn't need me up there, whatever. And he's like, no, we're better together. I love you as you are. She transforms back into her Skrull skin and is like, Vara, start calling me Vara. I want to love you as me, like, whatever. They have this beautiful moment where they like kiss and make up, whatever. But then after she tells him, I'm not going with you, they get in the spaceship together. And also he has this one drop where he says, the Kree are thinking about trying to make peace with the Skrulls. I've had a fucking enough, Dill, because the Kree, Ronan, you're telling me Ronan and Yon-Rogg and these people of the Kree are going to make peace with the Skrulls? I guess the fight from Captain Marvel was 30 years ago, but like, that is just so fucking random.
It's just a way to be like, we're still going to resolve this thing. It's just we're not going to do it in any context of what the show is leading up to. It's like, what does the show even mean now? You know what they should have done? You know what the series should have been? It should have started with the government being like, there are scrolls upon us. We got to kill them. And then they're killing. And then we get that scene where it's like, no, wait, some of these are real people. They're not scrolls. And then it's like this whole thing of like, F the government for just being racist and just killing everyone just because they're different colored skin and they're worried they're going to infiltrate. Make that firm stance on immigration. Have Nick Fury come in and be like, no, government, that's wrong. Kree, we need to work together because now the U.S. is a villain. That's such a more compelling story because then you get that criticism of the Republicans trying to send out immigrants from our country. And then you also get to still make sense why the Kree would accept Skrulls. Make that who Talos is trying to get through to, not other Skrulls. Never make the Skrulls the enemies, because when you make the Skrulls the enemies, it just comes across so weird. And then now the other enemies that we were enemies with before are now our allies, and now the government is our enemies. But now we're ending our show. That's where you should start it. This whole buildup, it just doesn't make any sense to me, especially when Gravik just comes and goes so easily. He got his ass kicked. Kira, or what's her name? Not Kira. That's her character in Star Wars. Gaia. Sorry, her name in Star Wars is Kira, and it's also spelled with like a hyphen or whatever, or an apostrophe. But yeah, Emilia Clarke, it kills him pretty easily. Like, it really amounted to nothing. And then we get this like ET ending of we're gonna go to space together. Maybe she is staying on Earth. Maybe they're just going in the spaceship to fuck, and then she's gonna get back out and go. I don't know. Or do we see the spaceship take off? I can't remember.
No, the doors just like close and they're in it
maybe
together.
Maybe it's just like I got a nice comfy bed in that spaceship, and then like they're gonna let her go. I don't care. I don't really care. You know, like and I'll be honest, I love Samuel L. Jackson, but like even he can't like make me give this a full star. I'm not a fan. I don't like it.
Because, Dill, I don't think Nick Fury went through a single fucking arc this whole show.
No. And that's
he lost two people, the two closest people to him, and it was like nothing happened. Didn't phase him at all. He apparently has this woman who's the love of his life and treated her like crap the whole show. Like
she treated him like crap. They both treated each other like crap. They're toxic.
They tried to humanize him so much, and I still just like wasn't buying it. I'm like, I don't. And also a part of this ending that makes me want to rip my eyes out is that now Sonya and Gaia are basically teaming up the same way that Nick and Talos did.
Right.
She's like,
it's just gonna keep cycling.
Well, because like Gaia was like, oh, my father got into a deal like this like 30 years ago and it led to nothing. And Sonya was like, oh, well, we're gonna do it differently than them. We're not going to let like love and friendship affect our plan here. You're going to use me, I'm going to use you, which is just like bothers me a little bit because it's like Marvel makes this whole point with women to make them emotionless, and I don't think that that's the move. Like they're trying, I feel like, because the big criticism about like women in power and women leaders is that like women are too emotional and like what yada yada yada. So then on the flip side, Marvel like tries to do such the opposite of that by it just makes them so emotionless and emotionless. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And like why I don't know. I'm just like why? Just like why? I think why. I think that's my big takeaway from this show is just why.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. It's a stinker. The show just does not work in really any capacity. Really, like I really don't know. I don't know. Anything else, Kels? I mean, who's like the MVP of the series for you? I mean, like Samuel L. Jackson did a good job acting in it, but like I wouldn't even say he's the MVP. I guess Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, he's definitely the MVP for
highlight.
me.
Yeah, I mean,
and they fucking killed him.
And then visuals still not good.
Yeah, the visuals were really off during that fight sequence. And and we're back where we started. This felt like I didn't even have to watch this show because Skrulls are still the enemy. They still have no home. And Nick Fury still, like, if anything, this show made me realize that I'm like, Nick Fury kind of sucks.
And that's not what you want to take away from it either, because he's been such a great character, you know?
Right.
It's just unfortunate. All right. Well, what do you rate this one, Kels? This show and as a whole.
Like a 1.5 out of 10.
Too high.
Too high.
I gave it. I mean, I don't give anything lower than a 1 because like you can't do half a star. So I'll go 1 out of 10. It's
Okay.
again a half star on Letterboxd, like literally a half. And I'll give you this. Thor: Love and Thunder got a 1.5 stars. It was a 3 out of 10 for me. Like this makes Thor: Love and Thunder. Like I after watching this was like I want to go watch Thor: Love and Thunder. I was like I want to go watch Thor: Love and Thunder. Because at least that will make me laugh once.
If you want a silly, goofy time, definitely watch Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, the cancer movie. A silly, goofy time. That was my main criticism, but it's okay.
No, dude, you're so right, though. You're so right.
I will take 6 hours of screaming goats before I take this racist bullshit about these green people are taking over. I'm so scared. Like, why are we... Let them take over. Y'all suck. The green people at least are fun. Like, Talos is a freaking boss.
This is not breaking my dresser and bruising my knee over.
Which you already did. The bruise is black and blue by now. Yes.
It's a little
next week we're gonna be ranking all the shows.
I can't wait to see what's in our bottom.
I wonder.
I wonder what's gonna be the worst one.
What if you got lucky?
Yeah.
I just like I can't do it. It's just spoiler alert. This is number whatever it is on the list. Number last. Number L, loser. It's just I don't like it. And you know what? I would at least be like, you know what? People worked really hard on it, but the problem is Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, and Kobe Smulders have worked hard on other MCU projects. So I'm not gonna like say they didn't work hard, but like they were phoning it in here. Emilia Clarke did great on Game of Thrones. Olivia Colman, great in everything else. So like it's okay if I say that this is like the worst work they've all done. Like they've got great work I love. You know, I don't hate them. And the creators though, like the AI theme song, like it's been doomed from the beginning, you know? And it's just so disheartening to see. But if this is like the show we get during the strike period with an AI title card and all this shit, then you know what? Maybe that's a sign that things really do need to change, you know? And I hope the Marvels is good. I got a lot less hope in it now, considering that's another Nick Fury joint. And I love Nick Fury prior to this. I love Samuel L. Jackson. It's just like, if they continue to go along this path in the Marvels, it's like, I just feel like that's going to be too bloated because that looks like a fun body swap movie. Like, leave it at that, you know? I just really don't know where this is going to amount to. Like, are we going to get even more of this plot line, or is it just like kind of a cliffhanger and then it's like, whatever, you know? Because I feel like I don't really think they're going to want to explore this more given the reviews, you know?
Yeah, I don't. What even are the reviews? Are people as angry as we are?
The show itself has been getting mediocre to low reviews, but this episode in particular got the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of any comic book episode ever, and any MCU thing ever. I think it was a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes this episode.
Wow.
So low. So this episode got panned. But I think this episode got panned because it's a horrible resolution of the show. But because this last episode was so bad, it kind of emphasized that this whole show itself was bad. But I and Kelsey have always been a hater of the show. Like we were not, you weren't
we're
a day
haters.
one. I was a day 1. You were like a day 3. But like we have been on the bandwagon of this is not good for a while. So I'm glad other people are seeing it. And if you liked it, that's fine. Let us know in the comments why you did, because like I would love to know what made this appealing to someone. I really just don't know.
And listen, I'm a Marvel optimist. I go into every project, regardless of what people are saying about it, whatever the critics are saying about it. I go into it like wanting to see the best in every project. I can probably tell you something that I liked about every single project.
I genuinely could too.
Not even Phase 4, which was so hated by the fandom, is not even like a bad phase in my eyes. No. But just something about this show it was just all over the place in the worst ways. And oh my
You want me to
God.
give you? I'm going to give you 10 things I liked about Thor: Love and Thunder because I want to prove that all these movies have at least 10 things to enjoy.
Go
All
ahead,
right.
Dill.
I appreciate seeing Drax in anything, even if he's underutilized. Drax in anything gets a thumbs up for me. All right.
Okay.
Brett Goldstein cameo at the end, very exciting. Russell Crowe's accent, I ate it up. It was hilariously fun.
Okay.
Christian Bale, amazing. The makeup on Christian
Absolutely.
Bale, amazing. Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman, I think, have always had a really good chemistry. I think the gay representation is really solid. I like Taika Waititi's work as a voice actor as Korg. Valkyrie is beautiful as hell. So is Natalie Portman. I just love them, and I would marry them both. And I feel like it is stylistically in line with Ragnarok in keeping a consistent style and theme. It's not my favorite style or theme, but I can appreciate the consistency. That's 10 things I could say positively about Love and Thunder. Secret Invasion, Ben Mendelsohn. That's it. That's literally it. And
Olivia Colman.
But she just wasn't in it. Like, I didn't get anything
from her
because she was
we didn't get enough.
She was good when she was there, but like not even enough for me to be like, that was one of the good things I liked about it. I just felt I didn't like it or dislike it. That's my thing.
Right.
Anyway, any last thoughts on Secret Invasion, Kels?
I thought that the actor who played Gravik did well in the scene with Nick Fury. I was thinking of it more. I was taking my Marvel, fandom nerd fan was taking a seat back, and my actor brain was just appreciating the work that he did in that scene, because I was like, to hold your own like that in a scene with Samuel L. Jackson, to like grab his face and be like, look at me, listen to me. I'm like, wow, that took a lot of gall, and he did good work as this character.
Kingsley Benadir. Have you seen One Night in Miami, the Regina King movie?
No.
He's in that. Leslie
he's really
Odom
good. Jr.
Yeah, so it's about the four guys who like spend the night together in Miami. It's he plays Malcolm X, and he's amazing in it. He's also going to be playing Bob Marley in the new Bob Marley movie. Like, he's having a moment.
Wow.
It's just this does sour the moment. So he's got Barbie in theater. So he's going to make if you pay your actors and give them the right residuals, he will make a shit ton of money anyway. So it's good.
Right.
But that is it for Secret Invasion. Kelsey, as we said, we're ranking all these things next week, aka for us tomorrow, because Kelsey and I are celebrating her birthday down the shore with a bunch of friends. It's gonna be fun. You're all not invited. Sorry, we will not disclose the information which beach and where and how. But we're going to be recording tomorrow, so leave your rankings here or wait for next week to leave your rankings, I guess. But Kelsey, any last words for this week?
You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You can follow me on TikTok at Cause13, and you should follow the Dill Pickle Movie Network TikTok as well.
You should. The TikTok is really fun. We're doing daily games. Kelsey did send me a TikTok that I got to post, but I think it was low res. So you.
I'll send it again. Don't worry.
But I'm gonna post that. I'm getting through fixing up some old videos to kind of make little mashups up for the TikTok, like some of the drafts, because those have been playing well. But you can follow me on Twitter, or if you want to call it X, you can. But it's Twitter. Dylan_Randazzo. I'm still tweeting, because it's still the same format, it's just called something else, and I refuse to abide by it. Dylan Randazzo 417 at TikTok, or the Dill Pickle Movie Network at TikTok now, and then Dill Pickle Movie Network here on YouTube. If you're listening on podcasts, thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, go check out the podcast. If you want to listen to us rant again, take us in the car, take us in your walks and jogs around the parks, whatever you want to do. Just listen to us, because we love talking to you and entertaining your ears. Thank you so much, and happy birthday, Kels. We'll see you next time.